Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floater. Turn him over again. Booker scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
We are bringing the boom on Thirsty Thursday. As always, here at Run Pure Sports, 11 games in the NBA. Not exactly sure if someone stole Adam Silver's calendar and he didn't know what to do. So you've got days with 13 games like tonight. You've got days with 0 games like last night, 3 games tomorrow night when there's almost nothing else going on. I mean, sure, I know Notre Dame plays, but I mean, come on, can't we have some NBA? Go ahead and drop your questions here in the chat. Got about 56 minutes until lock on this 11-game slate. We'll get through it pretty quickly. I do want to say hello to the fellas, though. DC, not so sweet Travis. We just had a discussion before we went live, and it was very distressing, DC, what Travis thinks are victories and what he doesn't think are victories. It was very hurtful. But good news for DC is that you are soon to have another playmate in Colorado. And that is about the best kind of Christmas news. It's like a Christmas story, if you will. What's going on, DC?
Not a lot. Another beautiful day here on Earth, and happy to see Travis going back in the saddle. You know, he had to take a whole week off of work to go to a live final that he wasn't even in. So it's good to see him back, working for the company here at RPS. Travis, I missed you over the last week. Didn't miss your head-to-head dollars, which were easy to get once again. But yes, Travis coming back to Colorado. Great news that we got before the show. I'm in a great mood, except for I think you've nailed it, JT. It's like, calm down, Adam. Calm down, Adam. We have like 1 or 2 games for like a week and a half, and then he's just like, wham, 13 games today. Like, get back in the saddle. So it's been with football tonight, and definitely kind of a shock trying to figure out what these teams are going to do. We've got so much news, obviously, in the NBA. It's always true, but especially when you've had these teams barely playing and now they all come back on the same night. I mean, it's just, Brandon Miller out. I mean, there's just tons of news. There's going to be news, I think, that drops on the show throughout the next hour leading up to lock. So it's going to be a crazy slate. It already is. There's no question about it. There's a ton of good plays. I actually like the slate. And then, man, I love this time of year. Not for the Christmas festivities. Listen, I can take or leave the Christmas festivities, but the football, right? I think we have either college football playoff or NFL game every day, and most days multiple, I think, for the next 2 weeks. Snyder tweeted out the football schedule, and I'm excited for it. So awesome time of year for sports and gambling and all that good stuff. So let's find some winners tonight, huh?
Iron Mitch on it as always. We love our guy Snyder. Sweet Travis, there's so much NBA. There was a story on ESPN.com. I've got to give credit where credit is due about how to watch the G League debut of Bronny James. That was something that people are apparently interested in for some reason. It's good to know that you're back, that your drone landed safely. There were no issues. You were not caught up in what the Department of Homeland Security says are threats to use lethal force against those drones over the East Coast. But it's good to see you again. It's going to be a fun weekend, as DC said. How have you been, man? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling better? You're back from the live final. What's going on?
I'm feeling great. Also, JT, you said you're bringing the boom. You got to say you're bringing the boom. You got to do it like our man Big AJ does. Everyone else will understand that. Maybe you don't, but anyways, the chat will get what I'm saying. You gotta,
Go on. We'll give you a second chance at an opening statement.
No, that's the chat will actually enjoy it. You guys don't because you're booming.
I'm not seeing a lot of chat coming in here. It's
265 people. None of them know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, Benair will at least.
I don't even know if he's here. We know that Little Puig is here. That's what I'm allowed to call him. Little Puig. He had a nice night in the hockey streets along with a schlong. And there were people saying that's it for hockey this season. But there is the NBA All-Star break coming up, so there may be another opportunity for you sick fucks to get in and play some hockey and do well. But let's get into it because we got 11 games. Some of these games we're going to go over.
Like Noah is the Noah from Twitter. We're not fans of Noah.
Noah Moon, baby. Yeah, Noah Moon. How's it going?
Noah's on the rebound. He's got a good take here. Noah has some bad takes from time to time, but he's got this one right.
Just no matter what the topic is, never do that again, right? Never do that again. All right. Travis, Utah heads into Detroit. The Pistons favored by 4.5 points here. Tobias Harris, Svi Mihalik is in. Colin Sexton is in for Utah. Isaiah Stewart and Jaden Ivey remain out. Saw some people talking in Discord about maybe liking Lauri Markkanen a little bit. Some other people saying, I don't even know how you would consider playing a Jazz player with all of them healthy, the wild rotations. Really a similar thing on the Detroit side. Of course, outside of Cade Cunningham, who can pop off for a big game, especially with Jaden Ivey out. But what are your thoughts here on this first game of the night?
Yeah, it's I actually don't like chicken bacon.
Is that an insult? I think it's an insult.
No, it's a call to Big Justice, who likes the chicken bakes, and Big AJ, who likes the double chunk chocolate cookie. You guys are just behind. It's okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and yeah, there you go. Steve,
did we move to another fucking planet? I mean, what's going on here?
I think the drones warped us out.
I think Travis has too many alien friends right now, and they like some weird shit. So, Travis, talk to us about the Pistons and the Jazz, and then let's regroup. Go on.
Okay, so Tobias Harris, I like to talk about him, DC, of course. I do think it's a good spot.
Tobias Harris on an 11-game slate.
Hey, at 6K, I don't think it's bad. He's playing the Jazz, right? The Jazz are terrible. And this is not a bad game. So. Also, keep in mind, JT, I'm going out after this to dinner. So my current plan is I'm front loading, right? Like, I actually think this is a great game to go and get exposure to. I'm pulling the Big T 777. I don't want to have to worry about it while I'm out, while I'm also editing other things when it comes to it. So
Travis, just a reminder here, Travis, people are paying for this. Some people pay for this.
They're actually
Travis's advice on this slate is to play suboptimally, so you can go eat dinner. We're good to go.
Yeah, I'm doing the birthday dinner with the family, right? I told them I would just unplug for a night, okay? So it's not my fault I fell on this show. I'm going to front load and pull a Alex. So there you go. But there are good plays early on. There obviously is news that can come that we can adjust for as well if we would like to. But I do think it's not bad to go to someone like Tobias Harris. I don't think it's a bad spot. I also think someone like John Collins shows upside at 7.4K. They have ceilings, right? These plays in this game do. They're not the worst games to get to. Again, we have a lot of games we can discuss, a lot of news that we have to get to. I won't pay for Cade Cunningham at 9.8K. That price tag just feels a little egregious, but I do think there are some upside plays. Like Jalen Duren at 5.5K. He's going to come in at 22% ownership. He is definitely a solid play. We have him currently projected right now at 34.1. I think that's a really good spot for him. I wouldn't mind getting to him at that price. Walker Kessler, I don't like him at that price. I'd rather just go on down to Duren. So I'm really looking at the front court. That's where we like to attack Utah a ton of the time. So yeah, I think that's overall it. Collins, Duren, and Harris are the main options I'd be looking at in this game. Maybe you can talk me into Lauri Markkanen, but I think there's better plays. I'd rather play John Collins at a current spot.
DC, Travis going out to celebrate a birthday. Of course, Jesus' birthday is next week, so let's not forget that. What are your thoughts, though, first on the Pistons and the Jazz?
Yeah, I think, Travis's plan, compromised to some degree. I could actually work out because I do like this game quite a bit, especially the Detroit side. No, I'm not playing Tobias Harris. That's just not something that you should be doing, that anybody should be doing on a regular basis other than Mangone. I'll disagree on the Cade Cunningham thing. I mean, he's showing a ton of upside recently. 67 fantasy points last game out against Miami, put up 71 against the Knicks, 61 in Boston the game before that, playing big minutes. No Jaden Ivey, so his back, kind of his main back court partner is not there. I actually think Cunningham's got as much upside as anybody on this slate. I like him quite a bit. I think he is someone you can spend on. The other guy I really like is Malik Beasley. We got him, I can't remember what day that was. Earlier in the week, we were pretty high on him. He absolutely exploded. 41 minutes in that one, 42 fantasy points. Shot the 13 3-pointers. That's just what Beasley does. When he gets a chance to go out there and like start, like the thing he offers to the team is like volume 3-point shooting. So he just fires away every time he kind of gets the minutes. And I do think he's got a pretty good chance to get the minutes here. So 4,900, I think he's got easy 30 plus fantasy point upside. And then I think this is a really, really good spot for Jalen Duren, who, kind of splits those center minutes down the middle with Isaiah Stewart, who also is, a pretty good player, right? Like Duren's not better enough than Stewart to separate and get the 35 minutes a night that he could play, right? He's a younger player who's like still kind of coming into his own. You get Stewart out of there, and I think they might let Duren just like play a lot of minutes here, 35, 36, 37 minutes. It wouldn't shock me, if he's able to stay out of foul trouble and all that stuff. That's always contingent. But I do think the minutes upside is there for Jalen Duren. I like the 3-man Detroit stack. Cunningham, Beasley, Duren. I could see working out pretty well. Utah, I just don't trust this team very much right now. They just got too many bodies. You don't know where the minutes are going to go. I think Detroit rolls in this game, and I think it's those three guys. So I like Detroit quite a bit to kick off this slate.
Team CAGR with a reference to the pandemic and many of the shows that we did together in 2020. Run Pure Sports, speaking of birthdays, 5 years next year. Guys, let's move on to the next game, DC. The Thunder, fresh off a devastating loss, if you listen to the pundits, because they really care about the NBA Cup. Devastating loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. They're heading into Orlando, a 209 total. Two fully healthy teams outside of pretty much Paolo Banchero. 6.5-point favorites are the Thunder here. Can you talk yourself, DC, into any plays in this game on this massive slate?
I haven't really been able to say this for a couple of weeks because we haven't had big NBA slates, but pass. I'm not 11 games. I'm not playing anyone from this game.
Travis, I think you're going to get these guys owned, but again, you've got a lot of bodies. The rotations maybe a little bit more stable, of course, on the Thunder side, but just not exactly the spot that you want to be targeting on a main slate of this size. For me, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can get Audric Estime in the captain spot low on tonight, but I will not be following Fallick, and I will not be following Fallick on this game either. So I am getting off of this game.
Audric Estime. Of course, we have a showdown slate too, DC. I mean, this is the time. Kevin Fallick in the chat, interested in Tristan da Silva on this slate. He thinks he's going to get a lot of shots. So there's one.
Is it Tristan da Silva's birthday? Is he getting shots at the bar or shots up on the court?
I don't know. But we'll move on, Travis.
I think something on Tristan da Silva.
Yes.
I am.
Yes. No, you don't have to. Do you want to? I thought you wanted to.
I don't really get the Tristan da Silva play, but all right.
Well, this is, again, we talk about this a lot. This is how Kevin finds the edges here. He likes da Silva. He likes Suggs a little bit. So maybe look at those guys in your player pool. Travis, next game, Charlotte, the Hornets heading into Washington. Charlotte favored here, 4.5 points. Brandon Miller has been ruled out. LaMelo Ball, Mark Williams are in, as are Malcolm Brogdon, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Corey Kispert. Kyle Kuzma is out here for the Wizards. It's been a little bit unpredictable continually for this Wizards organization. Charlotte, maybe a little bit more condensed, especially with the Miller injury. Any love for Miles Bridges for you, Mango? And what else do you see in this game?
There's definitely plays in this game that you can't completely ignore. I'll tell you this. If you look at LaMelo Ball's price, you look at Cade Cunningham's price, give me Cade Cunningham over LaMelo Ball every single time. Like, I do not like playing LaMelo Ball that much. I won't be playing him at 9.9K. That's just a crazy price tag. Jordan Poole at 7.3. I actually think it's not a bad matchup for him, and the opportunity is pretty good. So I actually don't hate Jordan Poole in tournaments. Miles Bridges is probably one of my favorite plays in this game at 6.2K. I think he's another pretty good option that has upside at the price, good matchup. Like, I just like sometimes at the forward position, you can find some really good options like in the mid tier, like Tobias Harris, like Miles Bridges, that have the ability to get you like 30 to 40 DK points. And I'm okay with that at the price. Typically forward is not our favorite spot to spend. And I think it's definitely a good spot to grab some of these mid-tier options in these like really good game environments. So that's just kind of like a rule of thumb that I follow on a lot of slates, and Miles Bridges kind of fits that bill pretty well. I don't hate a Koulibaly as a lower owned play at 5.7K. He's someone that I would look at. And Alex Sarr at 5.4. Don't think he's a bad option. When we start getting to some of these other plays, like Malcolm Brogdon, I never like to dive into him as a play. I like to let other people take their stabs at him. Cody Martin, he's another guy. He feels like a Ponzi scheme pretty much anytime you play him. Doesn't feel like he ever pays off the price. Feels like, hey, maybe he's on the winner, but he never wins the slate for you. So never in on the Cody Martin thing. I see him getting 15% ownership. I just think that seems crazy at 5.2K. So not a play that I'm looking to get to. And yeah, I think it's more of those mid-tier options. Miles Bridges, my favorite play in this game.
DC, you've got a choice here, Miles Bridges or Tobias Harris. And then Cody Martin isn't going to win you the slate, but he could be on the winner. So kind of dissect that, then tell us what you like in the Charlotte-Washington game.
Yeah, for Miles Bridges is a way better play than Tobias Harris. Not even close between these two. So I do like Miles
Why
Bridges.
not both? Why not both, DC?
I don't play Tobias Harris. He's your guy. I don't go there. So I do like Bridges. He probably is my favorite play in this game. The other play I really like, I know Mangone doesn't like him apparently, but I like LaMelo Ball a ton here. These are the spots where you want to play LaMelo Ball, right? Like let's be honest, he's kind of like a caricature, like a clown player, right? He does all these like just flashy stuff. He doesn't really play like he's like playing to win. He's like playing to ball out, you know? But when you play the Wizards, that's perfect. You can play like
a globetrotter, like a globetrotter.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's perfect. These are the matchups where he can just go absolutely off because nobody plays any defense. And when nobody plays any defense, LaMelo Ball looks like the best player on the planet. So I really, really like LaMelo Ball here. This reminds me a couple of weeks back, you remember, in terms of the minutes, Jeremy Sokan came back, played like 25 minutes, was apparently on a minutes limit. I'm like, yeah. I don't see any reason why. So he played the first game, played great. Same thing as LaMelo. LaMelo played 26 minutes, put up 47 fantasy points. Now he's had 2 more days off. Put up 15 shots. Like he got 11 assists. He's fine. He's good to go. He's healthy. 2 days of rest. Not going to be tired. I think LaMelo Ball could easily just be a full go and play 37 minutes here. Wouldn't shock me at all. I get why you can't project the minutes for him like that. The same thing I said on the Jeremy Sohan slate, who ended up starting and I think playing 36 minutes. You give me so I think he's under projected for the upside, right? I get the median thing, but that's not what we're chasing anyway at 9,900. I think LaMelo Ball could absolutely nuke on this slate. I like pairing him with Cade Cunningham. I think there's enough values to do so. I like pairing him with Miles Bridges. I think it's those two guys for the Hornets with Brandon Miller out, right? I didn't even mention that part. Obviously, a big bump in usage to when you take Miller out of there. There's just not that many guys who can do anything on Charlotte other than LaMelo and Miles Bridges. I mean, Trey Mann also out. I think they're sick of Micic, right? They got to see him play for a month. I don't think they really want to go back to a bunch of Micic at this point. So I think it's the LaMelo show with Bridges as a sidekick against the goddamn Wizards. Come on now. I mean, easy nuke spot here.
Come on, son.
Yeah, exactly, JT. Thank you. So yeah, LaMelo Ball. Give me all the LaMelo Ball tonight.
Micic, of course, getting a lot of that run because Trey Mann was also out as well, along with some of these other players. We will get, DC, just a couple more games. We will get to your Spurs. I know how much you enjoy breaking down the San Antonio Spurs. We will get to them here in a couple of games. But first, we'll talk about the Chicago Bulls heading into Boston. 241 total, DC. Boston favored by a healthy 14.5 points. Kristaps Porzingis is in. Sam Hauser and Xavier Tillman are out. Josh Giddey ruled out for the Bulls. Zach LaVine is off injury, not yet traded. Dalen Terry is out for the Bulls. We know that the Bulls play fast. However, does the 14, almost 15-point spread here scare you off of this game as a whole, or can you find some nuggets in here?
I don't think you want to go crazy with Boston. Like multiple Boston guys in one lineup doesn't feel right to me personally. But I mean, all the individual plays are completely fine. I do think Boston's going to play well. They're going to put up a bunch of fantasy points. Like, I don't think these guys are going to be busts or anything like it. I just don't know if they're going to get enough, any of them, to really kind of break through and kind of, be on the winner. So I'm not going to have much of this game. Like I said, I do think Boston will play well. The guy I actually like the best. No surprise, maybe I play him a ton. Even off the bench, even when Boston's not hurt, is Peyton Pritchard. I mean, this dude puts up monster performances. Look at the last 2 games. I know, they've got guys out now and then, but he's still going to get us like 26, 27 minutes. I mean, he's put up 40, 51, 45, 40, 44. These are all in the last 6 or 7 games. Nobody plays him because he's coming off the bench, and Boston's mostly healthy. 5,900 against Chicago. He put up 45 fantasy points against them the last time they played. So I do like him as a low-owned option, but overall, kind of off this game, especially on the Chicago side. I know Giddey's out. I just don't want to mess with Boston's defense on an 11-game slate.
Fair points there. Team CJR says the Bulls cover the spread. Tail block comes in with compliments. We always love when that happens. Thank you. These are very comfortable, by the way. The rollback hoodies, Travis. Thoughts here on the Bulls heading into Boston to play the Celtics?
Yeah, we did get some news that Josh Giddey was out. I don't care that much about it, and we did get a lot of news so far. JT, you gotta make sure you step up on this. John Morant is available.
That's a game that we're going to get to later. That's a game we're going to get to later.
You got to tell the audience early.
Come on, JT, be better. Do your job better over there.
6:25. We're gonna get to that in 4 games.
Also,
why are you rushing the program?
This is a big one too. Şengün game time decision. So that really makes you think about how you build your lineup. So everyone's built.
All right, so let's since Travis does not want to talk about the Bulls and the Heat, we will give him a second here. Do you want to talk about the Bulls and the Heat, Travis? Shake your head. All right. We're going to move on then, Travis. We're going to move on to the Nets, and we're going to move on to the Nets heading into Toronto. Toronto favored by 3, 219 total. Of course, Dennis Schroeder is gone. He's off now. That meant that Ben Simmons got a lot of minutes, and you've got some injuries here for Toronto continuing. Jacob Poeltl is out. RJ Barrett has been ruled out. Bruce Brown, Davion Mitchell, Emmanuel quickly for the Brooklyn Nets. Man, what a disaster here. Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams, Jalen Martin, all out. Travis, is Ben Simmons a core play for you on this slate?
He is. I don't think he's a core play ever. So I think I'm out on some Ben Simmons. I will call out specifically because I think this matters. And listen, I know we like to talk about DK specifically here, but on FanDuel, Scotty Barnes is 3.5K.
Is it really?
Yeah, egregious. Just like, yeah. So I just have to mention that. If you missed it, don't.
I think he might be a core play.
Yeah,
he might be a core play.
He's a core play. So you do want to get exposure to him over there. That's super important. Wanted to call it out. It's very important.
Be like you won't be 100%. Some people will miss it.
Yeah, correct. Like some people will miss it. Like
because you wouldn't see them, right? Like you would have to, if you didn't look at an optimizer, you would never scroll down that far to see the $3,500.
Correct. And I just wanted to make sure it was called out. No one missed it. You never know. People are busy around the holidays. Maybe someone is running around shopping.
There's some crazy person in chat that's like, oh, easy fade. I'm fading the 95% guy.
Yeah. But
don't fade him. Play him.
It definitely is important. When you look at the rest of this game, though, again, Scotty on DK is 9.3K. I don't know if that's the best use of my salary, so I'd probably rather go to Kate, who we talked about earlier. You know what I do like? And again, more of these mid-tier small forwards. I think
Tell us.
Cam Johnson, I think he's definitely a solid play. You understand the risk when it comes to these Nets, right? And they could play some crazy rotations, but I do think Cam Johnson is a really solid play at 7.1K. He's the main guy that I'm looking at in this game. There's really no one else. I don't think I'll really get that much else exposure to this game, but Cam Johnson's someone that's on my radar at the forward position.
Cam Johnson, diss nobody, LOL. Basketball Monster has Scotty Barnes ruled in. That's what I'm going by. So if he is in fact still Q, then we will correct ourselves here in a little bit. DC, talk to us about the Nets and the Raptors.
Yeah, I'm not playing any Nets. I just this team.
Even with the injuries, no Nets with the terrible defense of Toronto.
Yeah, gonna pass on the Nets, JT.
Okay, all right.
Scotty Barnes, yeah, a bit of a price discrepancy between the two websites. So obviously more worth talking about what to do with him on DraftKings, where he is 9,300. Kind of a weird situation with him where, initially they said he was going to miss like multiple weeks with the ankle injury. It looked like a fairly serious injury. Yeah, was expected to miss several weeks of action. He's only missed 2 games. I assume he's just totally fine, right? Especially when the injury turns out to be like not nearly as bad as people expected. So I assume Barnes is a complete full go here. I'm not sure if he's being projected that way, but that's the way I'm projecting him in my head. And with RJ Barrett out, obviously big news there. Davion Mitchell also out. I think Barnes has a clear kind of number 2 in Mr. Grady Dick. We played him on the last slate. He got off to a little slow start, got some foul trouble, but ended up putting up 38.5 fantasy points. I said he was going to bomb away from 3. He did. He shot 9 of them. I think this team needs him to score. And with Scotty Barnes, who's a pretty good like distributor against Brooklyn, I think Grady Dick's going to be able to get his shots up. So I think he's got quite a bit of upside. I like pairing him with Barnes. He is my favorite Raptor to play alongside Barnes. I don't really trust, even with Pirtle out, just don't know where the minutes are going to go between Olynyk and Fernando and Mogbo and Boucher. Seems like those are kind of up in the air on any given night. And on an 11-game slate, I'd rather go for the sure things on Toronto, which in my opinion are pretty clearly Barnes and Grady Dick, who I do like both those guys quite a bit.
By the way, JT, Kevin and I are dialed. He is on Toronto and I'm off Toronto. Keep in mind, when you hear me talk about my team today, I'm playing one team. I'm going out. I can't be late swapping. I'm not pulling the laptop out at dinner like Big T. So I have no interest in Toronto. I'm sorry.
You're all in. You're all in on the Jazz and the Pistons. I mean, that is the game that you are living and dying with, and that makes sense. Now,
right now, it's the best game on the slate, JT. So far, since we've gone through your little schedule, that's the best game.
Right. Right. A lot of people trying to get the dick in tonight, but I will tell you this: Kevin has missed the NBA. He hates this schedule. He is dialed in. He's ready to talk about it, and we welcome the thoughts in the chat. We welcome any questions in the chat too. 600 people nearly watching. We're going to try and get through all these games before lock because you need those plays and information. DC will stay with you because it's your Spurs, and guess what? Even though they've had a number of days off, even though they've had time to rest, Keldon Johnson is still a game-time decision. Even though it's a different coach, it doesn't matter what happens. Nothing changes in San Antonio. Keldon Johnson, a game-time decision. Trae Young, however, is available to play. Onyeka Okongwu, this is pretty big news, I think, here for this matchup on both sides. On the Hawks side for Clint Capella and Jalen Johnson. On the Spurs side, though, for Victor Wembanyama, DC, what are your thoughts here on your Spurs and the Atlanta Hawks? 234.5 total, only 1.5 spread here. The Spurs favored at home.
Yeah, I did play some hockey over the last few days, and while I did not have financial success, what I did enjoy, JT, was just nobody's questionable. Like not one player.
It's not like this madness.
Yeah, it's crazy. The difference between the two, you like set your lineup at like 8 a.m. and you're like, you're good to go.
it's like baseball. It's like there may be a lineup that'll come out that'll be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But generally it's the same guys play every day.
Yeah. NBA, they got to do something about it. I have no idea what the solution is, but something has to happen. Anyway,
right.
In terms of this game on this particular slate, I'm off of the Spurs other than Wembanyama, who I actually probably will end up off of just because of the limited team thing. I've got the 3 teams on DK, 1 on FanDuel that I almost always play. Same thing tonight. He's not going to make it just because of some of the other guys, Barnes, Cunningham, LaMelo. Yep. I like those guys. Can't pay for Wemby. If you've got him, if you like your team with Wemby in there, I would keep him in there. I wouldn't take him out just not on my personal teams. And then, yeah, we'll see with Atlanta. I mean, this should be like a really good game for just the amount of fantasy points being accumulated. I just don't know if I'm going to end up on here. The one guy, as usual, that I am considering, Mr. Jalen Johnson, who's just a nightly kind of staple for me. Anytime he kind of fits in my lineup, and tonight's no exception. Not sure if I'll end up on him, but kind of hope to. Just kind of depends on how the lineups end up falling.
DC, you could get Wembanyama and maybe one of Ball or Cade Cunningham into your lineups because the Charlotte starters just came out and Seth Curry is starting. He is 3K for the Hornets. Any interest in Seth Curry? His last game out, not so good. Played 5 minutes, got -0.5 fantasy point. Now, he has started a couple of games earlier in the season, and those went okay. If you were flat minimum here, it's a good matchup. Thoughts on Seth Curry as a cheap filler? Sounds like you're not interested.
These are the guys that I think have become the worst nightly plays in DFS, in the modern NBA DFS game. These shit starters who are by no means guaranteed the minutes, by no means guaranteed any production, and because, it's a 3K starter, I better get him in there. And he'll be like 30% owned or some bullshit. No.
I don't know if it'll be that high on it.
I don't care. Whatever he is. Whatever he ends up being, it's too high, I think, on Seth Curry. So no, I'm not going to play him.
Yeah, I know how this works, JT. Everyone is flocking to this value. And on these slates where we have lots of games, I don't know, maybe I'll backload now. Maybe I'll play Tobias Harris.
People are going to play Seth Curry.
They are going to play 100%. It's a conversation going around right now. Is he worth locking in this value? You could screw yourself playing Seth Curry. Actually, there's a good chance you're going to screw yourself.
I don't care what he does. I'm claiming I'm right. He's a bad player.
All right, so we're tracking DC Mangone aligned off Seth Curry. Phallic, I sense, has hit the lock button on Seth Curry, the way that he reacted. He could be kidding, so he'll come in and let us know what he thinks. But where were we? Travis, talk to us about the Spurs and the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, clearly a game to like DFS-wise, right? If you just look on paper, right? When you look at Sabre, we got 117 versus 115 total. Should be good and competitive. So on the surface, it's definitely a good game. The Spurs guessing game is not my favorite, but I don't feel like I'm always guessing with Wembanyama. Ownership is showing at 17%. I think at that ownership, he's definitely a solid play that you get to. I don't mind a Bogdanovich at 4.6K. I think there is some upside for him in this type of matchup where no defense is played.
I think Run Pure Sports, I think Run Pure Sports as a whole plays too much Bogdanovich.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the matchup's not bad for him. But also the other thing I like,
6 good matchups in a row, and he may just have hit that age where he's going to be a backup at 3-3 and or like a Luke Kennard, and every now and then he'll have a ceiling game and doesn't matter.
The one thing I will call out with some of these plays too is like it's nice if you want to like backload and wait for the news that could be coming with other plays, right? So it's like there are guys.
Do that tonight, Travis?
I think I'm actually good. The more we talk about it, I'm a sucker for a good backload, man. So I think I might be shifting the other way.
Right.
So,
Sweet Travis, sucker for a good back shot. Finish your thoughts.
Yeah, you
finish your thoughts here on the Spurs and the Hawks.
Okay. So yeah, Clint Capella, I think he's not a bad play at 5.3K. Jalen Johnson, I agree with DC, like 8.4K. The dude just keeps absolutely crushing. I think he's another great play as a spend up option. So I really like him. You could definitely use Trae Young as a spend. Like there's a lot of good plays in this game. I'd be nervous with some of these bench guys, right? Just kind of be cautious with those guys. But it's really, I'd say my favorite play in this game is Clint Capella at 5.3K. If you need a center, that's the guy I'd go to.
All right. We've got Clint Capella, by the way. Yeah, I like Capella a lot here in this spot against the Spurs. We've got more news coming in, Travis. This is the game that you were interested in now. We're going to talk about your game. I know you were excited about it. The Golden State Warriors at the Memphis Grizzlies. A 236.5 total. Memphis favored by 2. A big news, Travis told us earlier, John Morant is in. And of course, the Warriors are going to start 3 guys that they just signed to the roster a few minutes ago. Actually, no, they are going to start Dennis Schroeder. Draymond Green is going to start. Someone else who else did they just announce is going to start? Because it's Andrew Wiggins.
It's Wiggins,
going to start.
Draymond, and Schroeder.
Yeah. Moses Moody is out for the Warriors. Jay Huff out for the Grizzlies. Marcus Smart doubtful here. Travis, all kidding aside, what are your thoughts here? This Warriors lineup, every time it changes, you talked about some of these plays, these guys that all of a sudden get a spot start, whereas a few seasons ago with the smaller rosters before the pandemic, that was an autoplay, especially with the Warriors, constantly switching up the starting lineup. Can you trust anyone in this game outside of maybe John Morant?
Yeah. Do we assume Draymond's starting at the 5? Is that correct?
I don't think we got the full lineup. We got that Schroeder would start, and I just saw from Kerr that Wiggins and Green are going to start. Don't know the positions. If Green is starting, I mean, it could be for Kuminga. I don't think Looney has started, so I would assume maybe that's at the 5.
I just think the starting lineup matters a lot. So that's something I'm definitely waiting on. Obviously, if we go Jaren Jackson at the 5 at 7.2K, I actually don't think he's a bad play. If you have him paired with an Edie, right? If they decide to go big where it's Edie versus Looney. Again, I don't, not saying they will do that, but this is the Warriors, guys. I never know what they're going to do when it comes to starting lineup. So I don't think Edie's even a bad play, even if he doesn't start. I think he could get some run for sure. We know the Warriors, at the end of the day, they do like to play big, but I want to see if Draymond's at the 5, because that could affect what I do with someone like a Zach Edey, who at 4.3K, he's getting some ownership and he's not a terrible play at that price. But I would say the best play in this game for me, it's probably Jaren Jackson Jr. at 7.2K. And if you tell me Draymond's playing the 5, I actually think he's not a terrible play at 6.7. So it's really trying to target in on, are those guys playing the 5? And if they are, there is a lot of more fantasy opportunity for those two guys at those positions specifically.
All right. For the Pistons, Ausar Thompson is going to start. It is not going to be Malik Beasley. So keep that in mind, Travis.
Do we have his price? What is his price? Is he dirt cheap?
400.
Yeah, that'll love it, but yeah,
he's a good play. I think
4,400.
I think he's fine, but he's not blow up your lineup, get in, right? That's the point.
I still like Beasley. I mean,
Beasley could easily close, right, instead of Thompson.
Because Beasley could still play 32 minutes here easily. So yes. I almost expect him to, honestly.
Kevin says he's the best player on the slate, guys. Ausar Thompson, 4,400.
I mean, I don't think he's blow up your lineup play. I think he's a good play, but I don't think he's blow your lineup up. That's all I'm saying. There's guys that become values. For instance, Kevin, you claim he's the best play, but I don't know. Kyrie Irving's questionable. What if he's out? Well, then your best play of the slate is absolutely in trouble. I'm not saying he's a bad player right now, but I don't think he's blow your lineup up. Lock him in. That's all I'm getting at. What if Şengün gets ruled out? Is he still the best play of the slate? I don't think so.
Let's talk about that now, because we've got the Pelicans heading into Houston. Houston favored by 9 points here, 217.5 total. But as you reference, a lot of injury question marks here. Steven Adams, Tari Eason, Alperen Şengün are questionable for the Houston Rockets. Jose Alvarado and Carlo Matkovic, as well as Daniel Tice, have been ruled out for the Pelicans. Jordan Hawkins is in. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is in. Travis, in your one lineup, any of these guys in that lineup? Or if you were playing multiple, what do you like here?
It's actually funny. When I did first run it, I did have at least one in this game. And I think it was Eason actually was the guy. Yeah, it was Eason. So obviously you have to wait for that news, but I don't think he is a bad play here. And there's opportunity for him to become a better play, right? This is definitely one of the key spots, I think, on this slate. I was hoping to have this news in time, because if we get news that Şengün is out and Eason's out, then it makes it even more like the Wild Wild West with the news. And these are just going to be such a good spot. So that's going to be very important. I think Eason is someone that you could play with. He's a good play no matter what. Obviously, if he gets ruled out, that would suck. But his fantasy point per minute is insane. He is someone that I'm definitely looking very strong at here on this slate. You could also talk about what are the Pelicans going to do if they decide to not play bigger and they do miss out on those guys. Is that going to open up more opportunity for Jabari Smith to play some more at the 5? Is it going to make Amen Thompson a really intriguing play? Are you going to see these guards get up more rebounds? Like, is it Jalen Green have a massive ceiling at 6.2K? So it's hard to say what to do with this game because we just don't have the news yet. But I think this is probably the biggest piece of news to drop. I thought we'd get the Şengün stuff by now. We did not. Once we got game time decision, I kind of came to the reality. I don't think we get it till 7 o'clock, and I have to consider the backload a little bit more.
All right, so we need some news in this game. Hitman, nobody's burying anyone. I think maybe the Orlando Magic plays, I think we were a little bit thin on, but some of these other ones, I mean, Osar Thompson certainly, I agree with. The guys were on. So on an 11-game slate, I think, it's tough with the Pistons, but when you consider how thin they are, I do think when you look at this matchup, when you look at what he has done in the past, I certainly agree with it there. So no burying. We're allowed to disagree on certain plays, and we do that often. Sweet Travis and I just did it the other night, and look, we're back here. He's healthy. He's out. He's ready to move, and I'm here to support him in any way I can. DC, the Pelicans. Yes, Travis, you wanted to rebuttal.
Yeah, the point I was just making is like there are some plays that we see and we're like, okay, like the entire slate changed, blow up the slate. I don't think Oscar Thompson's that, right? That's the point I was getting at.
Because he could still split minutes with Beasley.
Correct. Like Kyrie Irving, if he gets ruled out, the slate has been flipped on its head, right? That's the same.
I think that's a good way to put it. To me, there is like news that you have to react to. Like if you're trying to win, you have to react to it.
Yes.
You don't have to react if you don't want to. If you like your team, to Oscar Thompson in the lineup, to Seth Curry starting, in my opinion, right?
Yes.
And well, I mean, we're here to ultimately to give our opinions on the news that comes out. And so, yeah, we're going to disagree with, I mean, those guys are going to be heavily owned. So a lot of people do disagree with us that you need to get those players in your lineup. I can see that argument. We're just making the other side of it. So it's not about burying anybody or anything like that.
No, absolutely not. All right. DC, talk to us. We got to get through a few more games here before lock for the people, and then try and react a little bit.
Yeah. So
right at the time. Go ahead.
Pelicans, Houston. I don't mind like Herb Jones. I think is a guy that you can always plug in there. 5,300. You know the men's are going to be there. I think he's interesting. But I did really, really like, and I agree with him. Tari Eason, I think, is an awesome play here for a number of reasons. One, we know he's a high kind of upside type player that can really go off. His price is nice at 4,800. He's just he's been a mid 5K player for the last month. And then because he himself is questionable, nobody's gonna really put him in their lineups just to not deal with it. And then you get the bonus of he could potentially really shoot up in value if Şengün misses. So for all those reasons, he's a great guy to have in a late lineup and have some flexibility around him. Even, if everything kind of goes against him and Şengün's in there and whatever, $4,800 Tari Eason is a fine guy to go to bat with in the late game. So he is my favorite play in this game.
All right, DC, we'll stick with you. Big news again in the next game. Obviously, a lot of news here to come tonight. And actually the inverse of burying K-Fowler, these are the slates when he wins a lot of money because he's willing to wait and plan out and strategize what he's going to do. And this is one of those games, DC, where I think you have to be ready to pivot. I think if you're playing, especially if you're playing multiple lineups here on this game, the Clippers heading into Dallas, 223 total, Dallas favored by 4. Luka Doncic has already been ruled out. Jaden Hardy has been ruled out. I think Kyrie Irving plays here. I think Kyrie Irving is going to play. That's just based on what normally happens when Kyrie's Q, when Luka has already been ruled out, means he's going to do everything he can to play.
Kyrie's ruled out. So like this is like blow up the slate. Yeah. See the news I said, blow up the slate. Like this is all change. Everyone's cores are going to change. Like
he's out. Kyrie's out.
Kyrie is out according to
just as I was saying, I think he's going to play. Perfect. So
yeah,
perfect timing, DC. As you're looking through here, no Kyrie, no Luka, no Jaden Hardy. Najee Marshall's in. Maxi Kleber is in. Clippers pretty much fully healthy. A lot of people were talking earlier about Spencer Dinwiddie in this spot. I think he's an excellent play. Who else would you be looking at here on Dallas? Keep in mind here, guys, you lose Luka and Kyrie. That is basically 80% of this team's production.
Also, another thing to call, because I just think this is super important. Like, if you are sitting here building your lineups out and you are like, this is too overwhelming, you could fade every 7:00 game. Like, you can get away with it. I know Miles Bridges is a good play. I know Kate Cunningham is a good play. You can get away with that. So if you value that you are being too rushed, backload, please. I did it once this year with all the Pacer stuff. I was on up to lock. I was so confused at what to do. It was my best night of the season. So like it does work out, and this news is important.
So yeah, obviously I was thinking Kyrie was going to play. I think most people were, but he is out. The Dinwiddie becomes the first guy in my lineup. He will be on all of my lineups, 3,700. I just don't see how you can really fade him. He's the only, I mean, he's the only like real guard they have left, right? Dallas, they have. I mean, yeah, he's going to have the ball constantly in this game. Dinwiddie, I think he's the best play on the slate as it stands. Going from there, though, I do think it gets a lot more sketchy. Not that these guys aren't great plays, but like Klay Thompson.
Shooting dependent.
Yeah, I don't think he's guaranteed to have a big game by any means. I think he's a pretty good play, but certainly bust potential there. And then you do have enough dudes. I mean, they have the two centers, Lively and Gafford. They've got Maxi Kleber, who can play the 4. They could put Powell at the 4, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall. So they have enough dudes in the front court to play the minutes. So to me, Dinwiddie is the only must play on Dallas. I think Najee Marshall, Washington, Klay Thompson are all good plays, but Dinwiddie is the one that I kind of have to have. I assume you guys agree at least on Dinwiddie, and maybe Mangone, I don't know if you think there's more must plays on Dallas, but
it's Dinwiddie Grimes, right? I would say that's the way that I would list it. Listen, Grimes is guard and forward eligible, and that eligibility matters a lot.
It only increases his ownership, though.
I mean, I think he's just a great play. Like Grimes is like, it's clear Dinwiddie Grimes, right? Like, I agree with you.
But I'm okay not having Grimes. I mean, what's the difference between Grimes and Oscar Thompson?
Okay. I'll tell you.
They're without high usage guys, right? Like Cade Cunningham's in the lineup. He has usage. Tobias, Duran, like that's the reason, right?
Grimes is 3,900 and Osar could split with Beasley, as we talked about. So I think Grimes is a better play.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty close.
Okay. I don't think it is, but I don't think it's that close. But anyways, when it comes to these other guys, because like I agree, DC, like we could all make the case. Could Derek Lively be on the winner at 5-4? Yes, he could. Like Gafford at 4-5. Yeah, these guys could. The one thing that's really nice for them, at least, is we know the Clippers specifically, they are always going to play Zubac, right? They always play their big man. It doesn't matter. I don't think they're bad tournament plays to take stabs on. The guys that I struggle a little bit with is like you said, the guys at like the 3 and like the 4, like Klay Thompson. He has 4.9K. He can turn back the clock, but he can certainly miss his shots, right? I think Klay is fine at 4.9. I like him more than Najee Marshall and PJ. Main thing with PJ is dude is 6.5K. Like, I just don't love that price tag.
If you're trying to chase down a GPP win and it's like you got Klay Thompson left, you're not going to feel that great, you know?
The thing about Grimes, too, considering that Luka is out, Kyrie is out, right? Jaden Hardy's out. If this game goes sideways and the Clippers start to pull away, I think Quentin Grimes is going to play no matter what. Correct. I think Dinwiddie is going to play 34, 35 minutes no matter what. I don't know about Klay Thompson. I think it's a total toss-up with the big.
You would be the logical first one out in that scenario. I agree with you.
Right. So it just depends on how you see this game. We got 2 games left and 8 minutes left until lock. Travis, the Indiana Pacers heading in to Phoenix. Phoenix favored by 6, 236 total on the Indianapolis side. Aaron Nesmith is out. A lot of other bit players out. Quentin Jackson, Ben Shepherd questionable. Other than that, fully healthy. Bradley Beal is in for the Suns. What are your thoughts on this game? Seems like we have a lot of teams where there's injury news and probably puts the ownership lower here, but also probably a lot fewer need to get 2 plays here, if any.
Yeah, I mean, just to call this out quick, like the highest owned play in this game is Durant on SaberSim at 10%. The rest of the plays aren't really owned. I do think with the spend down guards now, maybe you could get to Siakam a little bit more at 7-9. I haven't been playing Halliburton in a while. I don't plan on it anytime soon. I think it's really KD or Pascal as like contrarian spends and move on. I just think there's not that many great plays here.
All right. DC, talk to us about the Pistons and the Suns. And then for you, Jason Tatum or Victor Wembanyama?
Wembanyama over Tatum for me.
Yeah.
Phoenix and Indy. I mean, so much news now. Obviously, the Kyrie is just made for another must play. Too many players are like, I'm not playing anyone from Suns and Pacers. I'm off this game.
All right. The last game of the night. It seemed maybe a little bit more viable earlier. People talking about the Dante DiVincenzo revenge against the Knicks. Not that we should buy into that, but for the Knicks and the Wolves favored by 2.5. 2.5 points by 214.5 total. Josh Hart questionable here, and Joe Ingles out for the Wolves. DC, what are your thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this game was viable for a lot of the day and is no longer really all that viable. Like DiVincenzo is a guy I was considering as the last guy in, a placeholder type. But, Dinwiddie just immediately kind of took that spot. So Naz Reid, I think he's always fine at 5K as the last guy. If you need to swap, if you're behind, he would be a guy that I would look at. But I don't think you want much from this game in your lineups.
Travis, last game of the night here on the main slate. Thoughts on the Knicks and the Wolves?
Yeah, not one that I'm dying to get to. I mean, maybe like again, because now that I've spend down guards a lot more, right? Like I'm looking at spend up forwards. Like Jalen Johnson becomes an even better play we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Julius Randle. If you have the spend up and you land their last guy in, he's not completely terrible. We are waiting on that Josh Hart news, which I think that would bump up an OG Anunoby pretty nicely. If you are looking for another spend, you could make the argument maybe a Karl Anthony Towns would get a big bump with the Hart news, right? But I don't really want that many plays in this game. Obviously, if Hart's out, that's going to bump up Bridges, Anunoby, and Cat a little bit. But I'd be overall cautious with this game, and I want to spend down at guard and spend up at forward the more I look at it.
Yeah, even with the condensed minutes, the Wolves not a great matchup for points and pace. So, Travis, we'll give you a final word here, final thoughts on this slate before you head out to your birthday celebration.
Yeah. I love this. I mean, for my core, I'm playing those two Mavericks guys, and I'm playing Jalen Johnson, and I think Wemby. Like, it just seems so simple. Jalen's in such a good spot. Wemby's in such a good spot. It's too hard to argue with. We got good value. It's an 11-game slate. Kind of keeping it pretty simple. Gonna have some Tari Eason as well. Waiting on that Shenga news. That's important. And spend down at guard and spend up at forward. There are so many forward plays that we've mentioned on this slate. If you just sort by the forward position, you will see there's so many plays to make it unique. You'll be perfectly fine. So spend down at guard, spend up at forward.
Wembanyama for you over Tatum as well, right?
Yes.
Yep.
For sure.
DC, final thoughts on this slate?
I ended up sticking with mostly my plan, so it's going to be kind of opposite of the way Mangone is going, but I'm sticking with LaMelo Ball, Cade Cunningham. I think they're going to have big games, and I think there's a lot of value on this slate that you can go a lot of different directions. That's the way I ended up going with my lineups.
To be fair to see, you can spend down for Grimes at forward if you want, and certainly grab a spend up guard. So it's not a terrible idea. I just won't do two spend up guards. I could see one, but yeah.
And there may be, we talked about Şengün still questionable. There may be enough value at that forward center position, even where if you wanted to go a little bit contrarian, go with a Cade, go with another higher price guard. Think you can do that. Of course, as always, lock in 3 minutes. But after lock, the guys will be in Discord answering questions, swap questions. Cores will be updated all night long. There will be late cores on the slate as well. And of course, head on over to the NFL channel, the NFL tabs for everything on the Chargers and Broncos showdown slate. For DC, for Sweet Travis, good luck on your move, Travis. Good luck in your contest tonight, guys.